Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to the new topic. So this is metal forming 1 part 1. In this part, we're going to look into a little bit on the overview of metal forming, some material behavior in metal forming, and also temperature in metal forming. Metal forming consists of a large group of manufacturing process, but the process involves the plastic deformation to change the shape of the metal workpiece. So usually die is used as the tool to apply stress to change the shape of the work material. So this stress must exceed the yield strength of the metal in order to change its shape, and the metal will take shape of the geometry of the die that have been designed. So for basic type of metal forming processes, it is classified into two big category. There are bulk deformation process and sheet metal working. So under bulk deformation process, we have several processes like rolling process, forging process, extrusion process, wire and bar drawing. So under the sheet metal working, there are bending operation, dip or cup drawing, and also shearing processes. Okay, so in our class, we will be focusing more on the bulk deformation process rather than the sheet metal working. So there will be only introduction on the sheet metal working process. In metal forming process, we will need stress. Okay, so in order for us to change the shape of the metal, so stress to plastically deform the metal usually is compressive. For example, in rolling, forging, and extrusion processes. However, in some forming process, they are also tensile and sometimes combination of tensile and compressive. For example, in the wire and bar drawing, it is more on tensile stress process. Okay, still others also will apply shear stresses. So let us look into the processes. Okay, so if you can see in the first picture, this is a rolling process. So this one is the roller. Okay, so and this is the work material. So in order to roll the process, there will be a compressive of force coming from the upper side of the and lower side of the roller. Okay, so that the thickness of the work material can be reduced. The second one is the forging process. So if you can see here, this is the work material and these are the die. So there will be force coming from up here. Okay, so up and then it will change the shape of the work material. So here again, it is a compression. So the next one is extrusion. So this is the work material, and then it will be pushed by the ram inside here before coming out and create the new shape of the material. Okay, so again, in this process, compression is involved. And as for the last one, this is wire and bar drawing. So instead of pushing, so in here, the work material will be pulled, okay, coming out from the die opening, and then the stress here will be tensile stress. So in terms of the material properties in the metal forming, um, the most desirable material properties that we need to change must be um, low in yield strength and also high ductility. Why we need low yield strength? So that we will be able to change the shape. If the yield strength is high, so it will be very difficult for us to change the shape of the material. And high ductility meaning that we might it is easy for us to deform it and change the shape. Okay, so this process usually affected by the temperature. Okay, these properties we can change using the temperature, where the ductility will increase and yield strength will decrease when the temperature is raised. Okay, so other factor will be strain rate and also friction. So bulk deformation process is characterized by the significant deformation and massive shape changes, meaning that in the end, this work material will be changed dramatically into something else with the certain shape. Okay, so bulk in this bulk deformation process is referring to the work part with the relatively low surface area to volume ratio. So what does it mean here? So if you can see here, for example, this is the bulk work material and this is the sheet metal. So in here, if we put A over V, meaning the area over the volume, we assume, like for example, this one is 1 meter cube and this one also 1 meter cube. So compared to this sheet metal, the surface area for this product is low compared to this one. Okay, so meaning that the area over the volume, although the volume is the same, right? This one is 1 meter, this one is 1 meter cube, this is 1 meter cube, but the area here is smaller. So for example here, if we put the area here compared to this one, this sheet metal might be double in um, the surface area compared to this one. Okay, although they have the same volume. And for starting work shape, this is usually simple geometries. For example, this one is the cylindrical billet and this is the square or rectangular bar. Now let us look into the operation of the bulk deformation. Okay, so the first one is rolling process. Okay, so if you can see here, there are two roller in this part. Okay, so this is what we call as roller, and then this is work material, and the work material will come inside here and the thickness of the work material will be reduced. The second one is forging. So as a forging, there will be a design of a die with certain shape that you want to produce, and then when the material is placed inside the die, there will be compression, and then the die will shape the work material into shape that we want. Now, the next shape that we're looking into is extrusion. So extrusion is where the work material is placed inside the die, and there will be a ram that will ram the work material, and the material will come out from the die opening. Okay, so this one, the work material will come out with the shape of the die opening. And this one is wire and bar drawing. So wire and bar drawing is usually the end shape is the same. Okay, so usually it is just a round shape where we want to shape from a very big diameter to smaller diameter. Okay. So now let us look into the animation of the rolling process. So this is normally what will happen in the rolling process. However, it is not done in one cycle like the one that we see inside here. This one is just showing you the example. Usually rolling is done in several steps to reduce the thickness or to shape it into certain shape that we want. The next process is forging. So in here, the work material will be placed into the die, and then it will be compressed like the one that we see inside the animation here. So the final product will follow the shape of the die. So here is the example of how the forging product will look like. So this one is the billet, right? The cylindrical billet that has been heated and then placed inside the die here. So after the compression, you will see that this is the product and these are the flash. Okay, So I'm going to explain later what is flash. So the next process is extrusion. So in extrusion, if you can see here, there will be material will be placed inside here, and the material will come out from the die opening. If you can see in the end here, so this part, the part that is not going through um, the die opening here is called butt, butt, yes, butt. Okay, so this part will be removed from the process after the meaning the extrusion has already finished. Okay. And the last process that we are going to look into is wire and bar drawing. So in wire bar drawing, the work material uh, uh, will be pulled, okay, to come out from the die opening. So usually it is done to reduce the diameter of the work material. So, and this process also is not done in one go. Okay, so it has to be repeated into several die in order to get the final product. The sheet metalworking, in the other hand, is a forming the operation is related to the forming of the sheet, strip, and coil. Okay, so compared to the bulk deformation, it has high surface area to volume ratio of starting material. um, this one will be distinguished from the bulk deformation. So in this operation, it is usually called press working because this operation usually performed in a press. Okay, so the part will cause stamping, and then the tool will be punch and die. So here are some example of the operation under the sheet metal working. So A is bending. So if you can see here, this is the sheet metal that being punched, okay, using uh, this punch, and then it will follow the shape of the die here. So then the work material is bent into this shape. Okay, the next one is deep drawing. So the sheet metal will be uh, uh, punch inside the mold here, the die and here. So then, and when it come out, it will become a shape of the mold, the die here. Okay. The last one is shearing. So shearing is basically is process of cutting off the sheet metal. Okay, so when we punch the contact sheet, uh, the the sheet will be separated like this one.